Most people think the story ends with the rescue. The pilot gets pulled from Iranian soil. The special forces disappear into the desert. Victory is declared. But that is not what saved him. What saved him was what they told the Iranians, a single false statement. No gunfire, no second operation. Just a lie that moved first. In 1979, an American F-4 Phantom jet went down near the Iranian border. The pilot ejected. He was on the ground in hostile territory with a radio and almost no time. The Iranian military knew his location. They were moving toward him. The United States had military assets in the region, but not many, and they had one critical problem. The Iranians would have his plane. They would have evidence. They would have a story. Any rescue attempt would validate that story. It would prove the Americans were operating inside Iranian airspace. It would give Iran exactly what their government needed at that moment. Proof of American violation. A justification for retaliation. The real question was not how to extract the pilot. It was how to prevent what his capture would mean. How do you remove your soldier without admitting he was ever there? This problem sits at the heart of military deception. Most people think deception means hiding something. It does not. It means directing attention. It means making the true story and the false story move on different timelines. The first pillar is timing. The false narrative must arrive before the true one. Speed matters more than perfection. By the time the other side realizes what happened, the psychological ground has shifted. The second pillar is specificity. A vague lie fails because people fill the gaps. A specific lie with names, dates, locations crowds out questions. The brain accepts detail as evidence of authenticity. The third pillar is consistency, not truth. Consistency. The lie must be defended using the same logic, the same sources, the same officials, every single time. A crack in consistency is a crack in the lie. Repetition seals it. Here is what happened. Before the rescue team moved, before any American asset crossed the border, before the pilot was touched, the United States released a statement. They said an experimental drone had crashed in Iran. Not a manned aircraft, not a pilot, a drone, early model, probably unmanned, probably lost during a survey mission. They even provided a plausible technical failure, navigation malfunction. The statement was thin. It had holes, but it moved first. It set the narrative frame. The Iranians prepared their response around this statement. They alerted their media. They staged photographs of the drone wreckage. They crafted their own narrative of American surveillance overreach. And while they were doing that, while their attention was locked on the drone story, the pilot was extracted. The rescue happened in the gap between the lie and the moment they could prove it false. By the time Iranian officials examined the crash site closely, by the time they realized there was no drone, the American narrative was already public. It was already defended by multiple sources. It was already part of the international record. The truth was too late. This principle echoes through modern strategy wherever information moves faster than verification. In business, the company that releases its version first, even if incomplete, shapes how the market interprets the news. Competitors struggle to reframe something already in motion. In politics, the official story that reaches the public first creates an anchor. Later corrections feel like backpedaling. In war, the side that controls the first 48 hours of narrative often controls the first month of policy response. This is not propaganda in the traditional sense. It is not about making people believe something false. It is about making them process the truth too late. It is about exhausting their ability to respond by the time they have the facts. The genius lies in not making people dumb. It lies in making them fast, making them commit to a frame before they can update it. This matters now because we live in an age of immediate correction. Everyone has video. Everyone has documents. Lies decompose faster than they ever have. But the principle does not disappear. It evolves. The new version works differently. It does not ask people to believe the false story forever. It asks them to believe it just long enough. Long enough to make the decision. Long enough to take the action. Long enough for the context to change so much that the original truth no longer matters. By the time the lie is exposed, the pilot is home. The policy is passed. The narrative momentum is irreversible. The question is no longer whether the lie was true. The question is whether it still matters. Most of the time, it does not. The pilot in Iran walked out alive because the deception moved first. Not because it was better hidden, but because it forced the other side to respond to a story before they could confirm the real one. This is how the biggest moves work. They do not hide the truth. They redirect attention to something true but incomplete. They make speed do the work that force cannot. The lie was not the victory. The victory was understanding that whoever moves first in the mind of your adversary owns the frame. And whoever owns the frame owns what comes next.